Okay, it's the 4th of December 2018. We're here in the pavilion at Chesterfield Cricket Club at Queen's Park in Chesterfield. And I'm about to interview what's been described as the latest generation of Chesterfield players, but we've discovered already one of them's retiring. So we'll pass on that. But first, guys, if you could just introduce yourselves. Drage, you start.
I'm Drage Thompson. I actually started playing here when I was 14, but I actually started my cricket at Old Whittington, of all clubs, which I think is still just about going. But then I finished when I was 16, and I didn't play again until I was 30.
Wow.
So I had 14 years in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Tim and Bry were still here, obviously, and it was Fran O'Neill actually who got me to come back down and play again. So I just played wherever they needed me to start off with, and then probably took it a little bit more seriously when it was taking quite a bit of my time up. So probably played first team for the last 10 or 12 years probably, and retired at the end of last season. So I mean, there's still time to play again, but yeah. So that's me really.
Great, thanks. Len, what about yourself? When did you start?
I think I came here when I was about 7. Dad and Grandad played at Bolsover at that time, but there wasn't a junior section here, so I think Dad brought me down when I was probably about 7 or 8, and yeah, ever since then played here. Went through the junior teams, quick cricket, then into the hardball, and I think I played my first second team game about 10. I can't remember where it was. I think it was Bredsall, maybe somewhere like that. They were short, and Dad ended up roping me in. I think I was a bit scared. I was pretty small back then, so scared I'd get hurt, but I managed to do all right, I think. I actually played in Drage's first game back, I remember.
Oh, right.
Bolsover?
Yeah, it was at Bolsover. I was only about 12, I think. I opened the batting in a 40 over game. It was April, early season, damp outfield, long outfield at Bolsover as well. I think I got 22 not out of 40 overs. I hit my first boundary in the last over, and Drage came in and got 50 off about 20 balls. I'd hit about 5-6 in one over, and I just stood at the other end thinking, who's this guy? And how does he hit so far?
Downhill ever after. Yeah, I think Dean played in that game.
I can't remember.
I think he did. Yeah.
And I was amazed really how far he could hit the ball. So yeah, it's just and then gone through the third team, second team, first team. So
great. Yeah. So two very different experiences, really.
Yeah.
You've grown up with the club, and you sort of went away, and then a late developer.
Yeah, I mean the strange thing was the faces. It was the same faces that were still here. You know, Brian was still here. Tim was still here. It was the same people. Yeah. Steve was still scoring, still secretary. Yeah. It was a bit strange really, but no, it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
I mean, like Dean says, you know, I did have a year at Matlock, which was a mistake. But you know, I wouldn't play anywhere else.
Yeah,
definitely not.
And are there any standout matches for you?
I think obviously when we won the league, you know, that was a massive thing in 2008. But I think not that long ago we had quite a good run in the national knockout. We got through to the area final in York. We had some really good games, hanging heat, and we played really well here on the park. We played Barnsley away, Doncaster away, all really good sides, and you know, we had a really good run there. Those three really good games that stand out. But yeah, when we won the league, that was
special.
It was, because we didn't, to be honest, comparing it to sides that in recent years or past years that they've been speaking about, we didn't really have a good side, to be fair. It was I think it was similar to what Tim described. It was you know, the same people playing week in, week out, and you know, a bit of luck along the way, and yeah, it was just a great year really. Yeah.
And for you, Ben, I mean, you know, you must have lots of memories growing up with the club in that way. Great support from different people along the way.
Yeah, like I say, obviously I've been here for ever since I started playing, so there's been a lot of people who've sort of helped me on my way, and that comes with the club, I suppose. It's such a good club, and I think think about people that have helped me recently, like Mike Taylor, people like that. He's sort of stuck by me when went through a few tricky times early on in my professional career and helped me out here and there. So he's only one of, he's probably the main one, but obviously one of numerous people who sort of helped me throughout my time here. Yeah.
Just thinking about the going from playing club cricket to going into the county scene. Was it a difficult transition? Did you feel ready for that kind of step up?
It's a different game really, but I remember growing up when I was probably 14, 15, some of the teams and sides that I played against then, that age, when I made my first team debut at 14, and in that side there was, at Dunstall there was Devon Malcolm and Jimmy Adams, and they had Craig Jennings at the time. He was on Northampton's books, and I was going as a 14-year-old, and
we had Paul Goodwin, right?
Yeah, we had Gus, so he got Jimmy Adams out, no problem. But at that time I'd not really faced bowling like that, and probably as quick. And then Sandy Aker, Ryan McFadden, who's only just stopped playing, and a couple other guys who bowled sort of decent pace, and obviously at that age I would never have faced it. So I think playing for the first team at such an early age, I think it stood me in good stead for later on down the line, really. So I think I don't know, probably a bit biased, but I reckon at that time the standard was probably it was better than it maybe is now, with the quality of players that are on show at that level. I think there's more sort of Derbyshire players who had fell out the gate or come to end their careers and were playing like the team that Opbrook back in those days, with like Liam Morton, Casal, Trev Smith, people like that. Remember going and playing against them and thinking, crikey, I'm going to get any runs against these, and I didn't for for a number of years really. So it was
a good starting point for you, as you say, because it just helps you understand what you might be facing later on. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think it stood me in good stead for going forward.
And in terms of looking at it from, you're playing county cricket now, does the standard still seem the same looking back? You're saying it's not quite the same, but things do seem to go in cycles. So you've been in the county game now, nearly 10 years, is it?
I think I signed my first contract 27 now. So I think playing. I think I made my debut when I was 21. Griff will probably know more than me. So be around that time. So I don't know. Maybe it's the same, but obviously as you get older, probably better player at that time. It might have seemed a lot harder than maybe now. But I think, like you were saying earlier, with the way the game's going in grassroots, I think with participation in cricket's probably lower, which probably means the standard at all levels, grassroots, is probably lower now than what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. So,
So, Drage, just coming to your experience, I mean, you talked about 2008 and so on as being a good year and so on. I mean, we joked a lot tonight about sort of people knowing when to finish or not, and going on, with maturing, getting better as they get older. So, I mean, do you feel you've come to the right point?
I mean, I've had two kids quite late on in life, so I mean that's the reason why I finished. I think if I hadn't had kids, I'd still be playing. But I think Bright is probably not the example to follow in terms of when and where to make the decision. But I mean, it is hard, isn't it? I mean, it's because it's not just the cricket you miss. You miss your mates, you miss being around. The banter on a Saturday. You miss being part of a club like this. That's the thing. But you know, every good thing has to come to an end at some point. But I mean, I still keep in contact with people. But I think for me, it was probably a little bit easier because I did have that gap anyway. I hadn't played all that, you know. But for people like Tim and Dean and Brian, who've played all their lives, you know, I can't imagine what it must be like to say, you know, enough's enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult.
It is. And you, I mean, I'm not asking you to say much about Matlock here, but the year you had there, did it sort of give you a view that, well, yeah, actually, the grass is definitely better this side of the
I think it was a difficult year when I did actually go there. They'd just come up into the Prem, they'd not really got the resources or enough depth in the club to actually maintain that level of cricket. Fortunately for them, they had a guy with quite a bit of money who sort of brought some players together, which never works, does it? Or very, very occasionally. Don't get me wrong, I think Matlock as a club has still got its... I think, but you know, in terms of turning up here every week, there's no comparison, is there? You know, you're basically playing on half a football pitch at Matlock for probably a third of the season. But it definitely... I'm glad I went, because it obviously made me realise what it was like to be playing cricket here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you guys feel? I mean, one of the things that people have said a lot about is the pitch here. You know, that it's consistently delivers whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you look at it in recent times, I think it's, you know, the resources from the council has been reduced. I think. It's not the wicket it was 10 years ago. It's not the wicket it was 5 years ago. You know, everybody will agree with that. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good wicket, but I would say Premier League cricket is probably quite difficult to get a result here. I think it's not really a wicket where you're really going to bowl anybody out. I think that's the difference these days than back in the day, which is a shame, but inevitable.
Yeah, what do you feel, Batman? You've seen some far different wickets over the years, is it?
Yeah, I think when playing with Derbyshire and you come and play on the wickets that we get, or we got when it's the festival compared to wickets on a Saturday, which is understandable. It's always going to be like that. They're totally different. So I think for the game or two after, when Derbyshire have gone, and there's a couple of Saturdays that we get on the wickets that are used there, and I think the lads look forward to that. But yeah, I think from, like Drage just said, since I started to now, obviously the time and resources put into the ground by the council, it's significantly less. So I think it's the wickets are not as good, but we don't mind doing that when you get to play at Queen's Park on a Saturday every week. It's almost, as a batsman, it's weird because I almost prefer it when it's the green area, because they're a bit, it comes through a bit nicer, a bit more pace in the wicket, whereas when they tend to be a bit more straw coloured, like professionally when you get that, you think, oh, this will be a good wicket, but here it's almost a bit too slow, and
that's interesting.
but yeah, we sort of, you can get away with it when you play on Queen's Park every week.
Yeah, sure. I should explain for the recording that you moving from Derbyshire to Nottinghamshire, you moved at the end of middle of last season, really. I mean, you still obviously have a lot of affection for Chesterfield, even though you're now going to be playing a lot of cricket at Trent Bridge. Is that very much the sort of the feeling that, you know, it's a home, really, this kind of club, this kind of ground, this kind of experience playing on here? Yeah,
I think so. Obviously I've been here since I was 7, so 27 now, so it's 20 years. Doesn't seem 2 minutes since I was out there for the under-13s. So yeah, even though I've moved over there, it's still not far away, and they're pretty happy. I think they're pretty happy for the lads to play club cricket wherever. So I'll not be moving anywhere that side, other than to play professionally. So
that sounds good news for Chesterfield.
It would have took a lot to get me away. Probably only if they told me that I had to play in the Notts League, which isn't the case. So I'm glad for that, because it's nice to come back and play club cricket here. because when you're in the professional game, obviously there's a pressure on you. So especially if you're going through a bad spell or whatever, it's nice to come back here on a Saturday and sort of get away from the pressures really, and see some familiar faces, and it's nice to take yourself away from it when you get the chance.
Sure. Yeah. I suppose we want to take the opportunity as well just to record for posterity. I think you've got one of those rare players who got 1,000 runs last season for 2 different clubs, which is pretty unusual. You realise that was on the cards at the time as you were playing for Notts.
And there's only 3 in the whole first and second division, I think, wasn't there? 3 people got 1,000 runs.
I think it's getting rarer, unfortunately.
Yeah, obviously it's more rare nowadays because there's only 14 games, whereas 3 or 4 years ago, 16 games, you get 32. Maths was right, 32.
That's right.
Whereas it's and now the games are played majority in the start of the year and in the back of the year, and I think September now, with where it's how late we go into, like I think we finish on the 28th this year. It's almost like playing in April again. Yeah. So the wickets are. So yeah, obviously I'm pretty proud to do that, and I only found out the other week. My dad knew, but he didn't tell me. John Windle, who at Chesterfield, he said that I was top of both averages for 2 counties in the same season. So I didn't know that. So
it's
fully deserved.
Absolutely, no, that's great. It's well worth having that on the record, I think. So the final thing is just really, in a sense, you both obviously got affection for the club and all that kind of thing. Is there anything you feel you want to put back into the club to make a difference in the future? We've talked a bit with others about getting young people getting more into the game early, and you started very early, Ben, and yours was a later entry, but the importance of getting that good start. So getting involved with more youth development, is that something you could be interested in?
I suppose I've sponsored the club over the years, not in recent times, but I think I've done my part in that respect. I've been on the committee. I think for me at the moment, time is pretty tricky. But I'm not saying no at some point down the line. I've got 2 boys probably involved in the club.
Next generation.
Yeah. Well, unless they've got any sense, they'll probably not play. But
football or golf.
But I've got no problem giving my time to the club in any way. I think obviously he can probably more of the playing side of things can. Just him being here is a massive bonus for the club. Just being around the kids, and you can see how a lot of the juniors look up to him, and it's quite strange for me because I just remember Ben as some 10-year-old little sprog, and then there's these little kids asking him for his autograph. It's pretty strange, but he's worked so hard. He deserves to be where he is, and as a club we're all very proud of him.
Well, that's great. Because it's really important they've got someone to follow.
Exactly, yeah.
I think so. Obviously, to know where I came from and starting. Yeah, exactly. I was having this conversation with someone else the other day about signing autographs and stuff, but obviously you come from the same place these kids are. Now I remember pretty surreal, like now, last year Steve Stubbins, and for a number of years was my coach. I remember going to Derbyshire games and watching him open the batting and getting his autograph, playing as him on video games and that sort of thing, and it's a bit surreal. So you just have to think about that and how you come, and like you say, obviously try and get back and play as many games as we can. Remember this time last year, not this time last year, in the season we played at Surrey, my debut for Notts, got hammered, finished a day early. Can I play tomorrow for Chesterfield, and facing Mornay Morkel one day and going and playing at Swarkston on a slow shocking wicket the next. So I like to get back, and I think in the future it'll be after I finish playing, spend more time down here, and never know, probably might captain the side one day, get down the line.
Ambition, really important. Thanks so much, guys. That's great.
Thank you. Cheers.